Exactly. Some companies do traffic these girls within the system. You cannot get a job order of 500 girls to deploy, and you are deploying, nobody checks the job order. You deploy up to 10,000.
I see.
Nobody's checking when did it stop, where did it begin from. This is why they begin dressing people in uniform and begin exiting them as if it is the same company.
Could it be the reason why
so they are not in the system? And
reopen?
Then the embassy ends up seeing people in a strange way. So I'm telling you something.
Yes.
The government enjoys this job. How? When you say you are earning over $1.3 billion annually from these migrant workers, therefore you get a big burden when you put a racket of people who say, now we are the ones in charge. We are the ones to care. You see, when they came up, they were claiming of taxes. They are so concerned about how much they can earn, how much our government is losing. This is their work. They did not mention of any girl being raped. They did not mention of any girl being mistreated. But they were up to, we have made a loss. We have sat down, blah, blah, blah. How about we? So where they benefit that when you let them exit freely, you have an excuse. Wherever there is alarm there, you say, those were trafficked.
I see.
Those are traffickers. You go to them and say, we don't want these traffickers. Go arrest. You go to internal affairs. They just see, arrest, traffickers. Now, the excuse is trafficker. The word trafficker must be there for the word safe labor, migration to exist. And this is where they work. So government earns more. You can imagine, if a girl is in Oman, America, or anywhere, facing a challenge, and the embassy doesn't have funds to care about this girl or rescue this girl, this money that they remit, remember every Uganda that is out there, is whatever they earn, they send money back home. There are remittances from each money. There is no haram. If the traffickers had bad money that shouldn't come into the Ugandan pocket, then Bank of Uganda should put something and say, this is haram. This girl was trafficked, she's working, we don't know where she's getting this money. They should attach something.
Mr. Kayonde, if the same companies that are taking these girls out of the country are engaged in human trafficking, don't you think this is a precursor for something that is terrible in the near future? Of
course, these people, they do. If you go into an assessment, how they do it, they are given a license.
Right.
Not all. Some of them do good, but the others who do that, they do it smartly. You cannot tell me. You wake up and pack up girls. You know, they're up to numbers. I'm supposed to deploy 500. Therefore, they can take anything. So they pack up girls. They have been allocated training centers where they have to train these girls. But they take them for sleepovers. We've followed up. And these girls tell us exactly what happens, surprisingly. They distance us. But the girls, when they are calling for rescue, they call us. We wonder why they don't call the ministry.
Where's the gender ministry in all this? Do they even ever show up?
Do they? We don't know how they do their work. We don't know. Even the UERA, we don't know. So these people do the internal trafficking that needs to be audited. Something must be done, which was supposed to be done earlier alone. So our worry and our contest is, why is the ministry playing these games? Where were you all along? To begin confusing now, at a time when you know that these Ugandans are really yearning for the jobs, then you open the airport sluggishly, you say, now let the tourists go. You know, okukuba kukina, what's that? You understand? So you instead of early alone sitting, if you're already benefiting from this industry, why don't you sit early, plan enough, be faster, such that even these companies you've tried to give licenses to exit the girls safely, they are able to do it. Rather than giving up. Now they are leaving girls there outside. They are the ones to monitor, to follow up and do ABCD. But they are leaving them that side.
All right, sir.
They are forgetting their role that is given to them in Section 69 of the External Recruitment Agency.
So,
regulation.
Ms. Abdallah Kayonde, let's seek some recommendations in that regard. It's one thing to talk about a problem, and it's another to seek the recommendations to arrest the situation. So what can be done to ensure that you guys get back to work?
So we recommend that the regulator ought to revisit the decision that was made by the president and go to advise the president that indeed, if we were to open the airport, it was supposed to be opened at least for everyone, not for only tourists. In looking at, citing at our problem, because we are going to end up seeing more people exiting. Then afterwards, they become future problems. If we are to curtail that, we urge the minister or the Minister of Gender to quickly advise the president to come up and say this. And we are calling upon the president to also regard this if he's really considering the issue of human trafficking being managed.
All right.
We should curtail it that way. Then the other way.
Kayonde,
yes,
in a minute, please wrap up.
We recommend that they observe the stakeholders, the tripartite structure. If we are to handle migrant workers' issues, let us be involved all, the three people, migrants or government, the employee and the employer.
Abdallah Kayonde, many thanks for having made the time to speak to NTV. You come with a wealth of information, and we are glad that you made it today.
Thank you so much.
And at this opportune moment, we'd like to veer off to a new discussion which involves the traffic update. If you're still at home grappling with how to navigate the rowdy road in the know. Well, let's veer into our Kickstarter conversation of the day. Before the coronavirus outbreak, Uganda's officially externalized at least 6,000 workers safely per month to the Middle East, according to the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies that closed shop last week. And it is estimated that over 70,000 Ugandans have been deployed to safely work in the Middle East for the previous years. However, recently, there has been a fight between government and the external labor agencies over resumption of labor export activities. To speak to us, we have Abdallah Kayonde, the ED of the Migrant Workers Voice Network Association, and he joins me right now in studio. A very good morning, Mr. Kasande. What exactly are we dealing with?
We are dealing with the migrant rights.
Right.
To be observed in this case. When you look at
the migrant rights to be observed in this case, first of all, how are the rights violated?
When you come up and contest the deployment of migrant workers, and you don't look into what had happened, what brought the halt, what forced the ministry to put that halt, the cap. So for you, your interest is to just deploy. It means you don't care about the migrant workers who have been suffering all along. Even during COVID-19, you've seen many of them crying from the other countries, Saudi Arabia and others, calling in for help. So if you can't harmonize, if you can't sit down and harmonize these issues fast, then you are maybe up to something.
Since you're a spokesperson for these migrant workers abroad, help us understand their experience. Share with us, Mr. Kayonde.
On our side, looking at the move by the ministry, trying to put a cap and say, let's hold on, we've got some experience we have been trying to share the ministry that we would like the ministry to regard first. So looking at the whole scenario, that the ministry came up very fast, lately, to claim that the domestic migrant workers should not go after the president had cleared the airport, opened it for the tourists to move.
And some are already gone.
We are wondering, are these ministries really connected to the government, or the government is in parts? The Ministry of Gender and Labor was supposed to advise the president that we have such a group of people who are vulnerable. If indeed this government is connected, you understand? Indeed. That we have our youth in the country whom we organized under regulation of labor externalization. They have been, we came up with this regulation just to help them, not to be trafficked or to land in two hands of bad people. But then the president wakes up in a day and speaks, releases the tourist, not knowing that he has such people in the country. So we've got challenges that we wanted to express, actually, that the ministry was supposed to look into and advise the president such that they are harmonized within the prior to this opening of the airport.
So help us understand, Mr. Kayonde, what were some of those recommendations you made to the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development?
For example, we recommended the ministry to look into the weaknesses in the regulation according to the Bairato. The Bairato was totally made by maybe an individual. We don't know. It was only government. But when you look at...
You are not consulted.
We were not consulted, and we are the ones deployed over there. When you ask who represent the migrant workers' voice in the migrant workers in the ministry's board, who is there to represent their views? No one. When you ask UERA, you are two people. Always the ministry and the UERA. It's like a cattle keeper and a cattle seller. And whatever they are taking does not talk. It can't represent itself. So some of the problems we have that we've raised to the ministry, we should look at the regulation itself. The way they have organized their things like a two-people game. forgetting that there is what we call the tripartite structure, which helps the laborers or the workers to also have a voice, to also have a say in the decision making, which has not been observed. Even when you are here in Uganda, you look at Were of Notu. He represents the workers and other unions to give the real picture of the workers. So when you look at the labor externalization, these people have always been there on themselves. And then we have another issue, the use of rudimentary methods to solve our problems.
Rudimentary methods, what do you mean?
Like when you look at a sheep, when you get, maybe let me use a cow, you cut off the tail of a cow, it gets short. It is now like, it can't reach itself.
Yes.
You can't wake up in a day and say, this cow is just full of pests and whatever. It can't chase out the
So in this
flies.
case, the cow is the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies. So your tail was
no,
cut
the
off.
cow are the migrant workers. The one who is seated here. I'm the
Indeed.
cow.
Yes.
Now the cow today has spoken. And here we appreciate the tools that we shall not monitor. They are empowered under Section 69 of the regulation to be in charge or to follow up on these girls.
Right.
However, this job or what this responsibility was given to them also like in a short way that they cannot, according to our observation. They have always been claimed to be the monitors, which thing we are contesting in our points. We say you cannot tell a fox to be in charge of a meat store. That means the fox cannot account for the real meat in because it enjoys it better. You cannot tell Kasita to go and buy things from China. When they reach Kampala, then they sit in URA to charge themselves the taxes to assess what they can charge their commodities. That's wrong. So URA and the other parties which are being involved into this racket of trying to say they're the ones to monitor us, they're the ones who deploy these girls. At the same time, they're the ones to give a report. The same thing they made in Saudi. They put a coordinator who is paid by an Arab. So, do you expect that coordinator, Ugandan coordinator, to make a good report?
Or to even shine a light on human trafficking?
Yes, you've had girls crying at the offices, being beaten, tortured, while ordered by the very Arabs. The Arab there, the counterpart in Saudi, is the boss of the job blocker here. That is UERA, the manpower pooler. The UERA team, our good companies that are regulated. Now, they work for the other Arab. They cannot order that man. This is where we've had wrangles of how can we now rescue these girls. Even the minister gets hand-tied. Sometimes they cannot use force into that. And this is where the voices come in. And they say, no, something must be done. And then the Arabs get scared and say, oh, we are getting off track.
And of course, if you're just joining us, I'm having this conversation with Mr. Abdallah Kayonde. Yes, we are talking about migrant workers and their plight. Remember, the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies closed a shop last week Friday. What would that mean for the many 35,000 young Ugandans who are jeering to leave the country? What about those who are already abroad? What does that mean? And the disclaimer, the views that are being shared on this show are solely of Ms. Abdallah Kayonde and not of NTV Uganda. Ms. Abdallah Kayonde, we are still going on with this conversation.
Yes.
What exactly are the people abroad telling you?
The people are saying that they are really misinformed. Wherever these companies deploy them, look at, we have also a contest in the training.
Right.
That whatever they are being trained in is not the reality there.
They tell you have a juicy job, maybe you're going to work in an office, reach there, you become a security guard.
But we are also surprised that when you approach the ministry, you tell them, please, we need these jobs because you've not been able to provide us these jobs here with good wages. It is in the docket of the Minister of Labour to lobby Parliament such that Ugandans begin getting good wages, such that we can stop this mayhem. If this mayhem should continue, then we have to get organized like the Indians, like the Philippines. Our friends complain that they have been lied to and they have not been organized.
Is this systemic fraud, Mr. Kayonde?
No, I don't know. It must be.
Because they advertise clearly and they say you're going to get $1,000 or $1,200. But then these young people are going to the Middle East and they're being given only 1,000 dirhams or 800 dirhams, which is like $200.
Now, if I'm to tell you, if you are a pancake seller, you have pancakes that were the leftovers of yesterday, and you've made the fresh ones today. If you are selling, Will you be able to tell what happened behind closed doors to the buyer? You cannot. Of course, you say these are all fresh pancakes. You understand? This is how they sell their stuff. And you wake up and say, then you go and monitor. You are the people to be in charge of UNBS or whatever. No. It means you lie. So these companies lie sometimes. So these are the things we need to look at, and we need to be there. We need to be part of. Because we are empowered to be part of this. They cannot be only 2 people in this. We need to be in this decision making, and this is what we are calling for. Simple. Then all these will be aired out and discussed. We are open for dialogue.
Indeed, Mr. Kayonde, in light of all these challenges, has the government and all these agencies helped you?
We believe they are sluggish. If they are to help, they have gotten to listen a little bit, but trying to ignore, weighing less of our voices. We believe our voices have not been heard enough.
But Mr. Kayonde, why would you ignore $700 million? And 2.2 billion shillings, money that is being brought in by the migrant workers.
They are not ignoring like adamantly. They say, when these girls are deployed, you put a safe labor migration team.
Right.
That is UERA. Then the next day, because even within UERA, there is some system trafficking. I will tell you how they do.
In the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies.
Some companies do traffic these girls within the system. You cannot get a job order of 500 girls to deploy, and you are deploying, nobody checks the job order. You deploy up to 10,000.
I see.
Nobody's checking when did it stop, where did it begin from. This is why they begin dressing people in uniform and begin exiting them as if it is the same company.
Could it be the reason why
so government was adamant to reopen? So they are not in the system. And then the embassy ends up seeing people in a strange way. So I'm telling you something.
Yes.